Hi everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. So in this part, let's discuss the next step on this the video. So whatever we discuss the previous video, so that's the continuation of this. And so today we are going to discuss here how do you optimize the Spark job running on the Databricks. As you know, like the Spark jobs will run our data moment in the Databricks. So how can we optimize that? So there are the different way to optimize the job. So what are the method? So let's understand here more on this. So we can optimize the Spark job. There are the different method. The first one is the data caching. Use the cache or persistence to keep frequently accessed data in memory. The second one, optimize the shuffle. Use the repartition or the coalesce to control the number of partition and reduce the unnecessary data shuffle. Broadcast join. For small data set, use the broadcast join to avoid the large shuffle operation. Use the delta lake. Leverage delta lake features like jet ordering and the data skipping to the speaking to improve the query performance. And last one is the turning Spark configuration. Adjust the Spark configuration for executor memory, number of executor, and the parallelism setting according to the workload characteristics. So these are the 5 6 the main like the Databricks Spark job optimization. So we can understand, but it may be like want to understand more, right? What is the cache, what is the data shuffle, what is the broadcast join, Spark configuration, tuning, or the Delta Lake jet ordering. So we'll understand more deeper into this. So just first here understand like these are the main method. Like if anyone ask you, or like if you want to understand your Databricks part of the Spark job optimization, so these are the method you can implement in your project. So let's understand each details in the going our next videos, but in this video we'll understand first like our optimization method, data caching. So what is the caching? In the caching there are the two parts or the two category, caching versus persistence. So the both the way we can optimize our Databricks job in the Spark. So when you're using the Spark in the Databricks, both caching and the persistent optimization and to like the performance, storing the intermediate results. Here is the overview, both concept followed by the code. So I have given like the both the view overview and the small line of the code I have written for just understanding the high level understanding. Okay, so how can we use the cache persistence and the using the some the return of the code and where we have to use that. So when we'll discuss about the cache store the data in memory to allow for faster subsequent access the data multiple operation. Okay, just understand here. So the optimization method, when we are using the cache, the data will get stored in memory. Okay, it's not in the disk, understand, just in memory. By default, Spark cache data in memory only, which mean the data is stored in memory and recompute if required or evacuated or like the frequently needed. So from the memory we can take that. Okay, when to use the data set can be fit in the memory. So understand here when we have to use, when the data set fit in our memory. Okay, so whatever the we have the memory, it's not in the disk. Okay, so when the data is fit in the memory means of course it will support only the small data set. It's not like the big data set. Cache will not support. Data set is going to be reused a multiple time. So some of the code I have given here. So when we load the data in the data frame, like the normal syntax, we'll use our the code return spark.read.csv. Sorry, I have given the location. So the here cell data.csv we are using, and the cache. So df dot cache. So that's the code we can write for like optimization this, and the data will get stored in the respective memory. Okay, for running this, like to run multiple action on this cache data frame. So I have given again the code like the sale related data, how can we group by, and the sale show using the cache. And so like small example, so if you want to be use like such a scenario, you can use the cache in your project. Okay, in this example, after catching the data set, any repeated operation on the data frame will be faster since data is loaded in the memory. Okay, so let's jump into the persistence. Okay, so the persistence is similar to the cache but offer more control. Okay, understand, the we do not have much control because our data will get stored in the only in memory in the cache, but here persistence we have the more control. You can specify where the data will be stored in persistence. Okay, such as memory, disk, or combination of the both. We can store the data in memory, we can store the data in the disk, and if needed combination of the both we can use. Spark provide the various storage level that allow you to choose between the storing the data set in memory only, okay, memory in the disk, or the disk only. So these are the flexibility, and we have the more options here. Okay, when to use, of course, like the when the data set is big and the large, and that time we have to be use the persistence. Okay, and the flexibility is required in term of storage options. So when you want like the more flexibility and where your data is big, so that time we have to use the persistence method of the optimization. Okay, so the similarly I have given the small line of the code here. So data load, so we are loading the data in the data frame, the same data, spark.read.csv. So that's the location. From the sale.csv we are taking the file, and the persistence the data frame, like see here, the memory and the disk level we are storing the data. So data frame persists the storage level dot memory and the disk we have given. The performance are like perform multiple action on the persisted data frame. So that if you want to perform the action or the whatever the what you want to see from the data, so the here like the you want to see the sale group by the store. So that's the small line of the code I have given, and so you can understand here so how the persistence it is getting used here, and how can we write. Okay, in this code data is persisted using the memory and the disk storage level. Okay, if the data does not fit in the memory, spark will split or spill the data or like move the data access to the disk. Okay, access into the disk. When to use cache versus persistence. Memory efficiency, data stored in memory cache, the it can be stored both disk and the memory. In the persistence, okay, flexibility, automatically stored in the data, we have the more flexibility in the cache. Okay, but persistence, more control with the different storage layer, as we have the more control. Okay, best for small data set, cache it is for the small data set frequently used, but persistence is in the large data set complex use cases. Understand? Okay, so the main difference, cache is for the small data set, persistence is a big data set, and the cache we have the very less freedom, but the persistence we have the more freedom, where we have the storage and the memory also, like the disk storage, wherever you want you can move the data. So that the flexibility we have. Okay, and let's take the some scenario, the real time scenario. Image you are working on a company that is analyze the retail sale data for thousands of the store across the year. Okay, cache, so when the cache will fit, if the filter sale data from the last month, sorry, since data is since this dataset is small and reuse across the multiple operation like calculating the total sale, customer behavior, you can use the cache to store the data in memory, speed up all the future operation. Okay, but persistence, when we have to use the persistence for analyzing the 10 years of this data, like the data is like the 10-year, so that time you can use the persistence, which is the too large to fit in the memory. You can use the persistence with memory in the disk. This way data set is stored in the memory until it overflow, then spill to the disk. Okay, now the let's understand the both cache and the persistence, or persistence in the cache, what are the advantages, disadvantages, how their performance. Okay, of course, like the cache performance is faster because it is a smaller data set, it will work with the small data. Persistence can handle the large data set but maybe slower, if they spill to the disk. If the data is not fit in the memory, we have to be spilled to the disk, and that time it is slower. Okay. Simplicity, the easy to use, automatically stored in the memory. Catch it is easy to use, automatically get stored, but persistence is more complex but offer greater control. Of course it is offer the more control. We have the both options, and it will help for the large data set. And but depend upon our use cases, we can use the both. For this explanation, along with the code example, should clarify how cache and persistence work in the Databricks. Both have their use cases, and the choice depend upon the data size, performance needed, and flexibility required. So what we understand here, like in this video, what we learn, the way of optimization of our Spark job, the different method, the optimization we learn, and we have took one of the method in that, the cache, in that like cacheing and the persistence we understand more detail. Okay, so the word like conclusion here is the cache will help like the memory by default. Persistence, memory, and the disk depend upon the storage layer. In other word, cache will try to store the data only in memory, while persistence can store the data both memory and the disk based on the storage strategy we choose. Okay, thank you. Let's catch you to the next video.